In 1969, NASA deliberately crashed a spacecraft into the Moon. They were testing seismic instruments left behind by Apollo astronauts. What happened next wasn't expected. The Moon rang like a bell for over an hour. NASA recorded the data, they analyzed it, they published it. On Earth, vibrations from an impact fade within minutes, but on the Moon, they kept echoing. And that wasn't the only anomaly, because when scientists began analyzing lunar rocks, density measurements and orbital data, the Moon started to look less like a natural satellite, and more like something hollow. Maybe it is hollow. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Despite being humanity's constant companion throughout all of recorded time, the Moon is still a mystery. Science hasn't been able to definitively explain how it was formed. Its unusual orbit, its distance, its density, its structure. There are theories, some solve part of the puzzle, none solve all of it. There's one theory that claims to answer every question. And yes, it involves the Moon being an artificial structure brought here by someone else. We'll get there, first the mainstream options. Capture theory. The Moon was drifting through space and Earth pulled it into orbit, which sounds elegant, it's also extremely unlikely under orbital mechanics. Space doesn't do casual. Accretion theory. Earth and Moon formed together from the same dust cloud. If that were true, they should share similar traits. Similar iron content, similar structure. They don't. Fission hypothesis. The early Earth spun so fast it flung material into space, which became the Moon, except lunar rock turned out to be older than the Earth's ocean floor. That complicates things. Giant impact theory. A Mars-sized object slammed into proto-Earth. The debris formed the Moon. This is the leading model. It also requires a remarkably precise set of conditions. But we are confident. Of course we are. Humanity's default setting is we figured it out. The universe's default response seems to be fuck you. There's also the newer Synestia model. A vaporized spinning torus of rock from which the Moon condensed. It's complex, it's mathematically elegant, it still doesn't close every gap. The point is simple. We don't actually know exactly how the Moon formed. You'd think going there and collecting rock samples would settle the argument. It didn't. It made it worse. When lunar samples were studied, more questions appeared. On Earth, surface rocks are younger. Dig deeper, rocks get older, logical. On the Moon, in some regions, surface material appears older than what's beneath it. It's reversed. There are geological explanations for this. Impact mixing, regolith turnover, but it's not intuitive. Typical planetary bodies have denser material toward the core and lighter material toward the surface. On the Moon, density distribution raised eyebrows. Then there's crater uniformity. Asteroid impacts over billions of years should create varying depths. Yet many lunar craters appear to have consistent depth-diameter ratios. There are structural explanations for this, but if you are designing a structure with a reinforced subsurface layer, you might expect similar results. Again, not proof, just tension. Lunar dust chemistry is odd. The Moon lacks a global magnetic field, yet some rocks are strongly magnetized. The Earth is about 4.6 billion years old, but the oldest rocks we've found on Earth are significantly younger. Our planet constantly recycles its surface. The Moon doesn't. Some lunar samples date back almost to the very beginning of the solar system. Even trace isotopes like uranium-236 and neptunium-237 have sparked debate about interpretation. Titanium, chromium, zirconium, present in notable quantities, strong, corrosion resistant. The kind of materials engineers like. If you are reinforcing something, not saying that's what happened, just acknowledging the pattern. Now let's test the hollow idea properly. If the moon were hollow, seismic activity would behave differently. Conveniently, we did place instruments there. After returning to the command module, the Apollo 12 crew intentionally released the lunar lander. It crashed into the moon. Seismic measurements showed air vibrations lasting over an hour. Later, during Apollo 13, an even heavier object was crashed into the surface. This time, the moon rang for over 3 hours. Vibrations travel deep. On Earth, that doesn't happen, because Earth has water, tectonics, layered density. The moon is dry, rigid, less geological active. That explains prolonged revibration. It does not require hollowness, but it doesn't eliminate curiosity either. The moon is about 1/4 Earth size, yet significantly less dense. Science says that's due to lower iron content in its core, consistent with impact models. Reasonable. If it were hollow, that would also explain low density. But possible and probable are not the same word. Then there's the orbit. Near circular, unusually stable. The moon appears almost exactly the same size as the sun in our sky, allowing solar eclipses. The sun is roughly 400 times larger than the moon, and about 400 times further away. Yes, it's coincidence, a very photogenic one. The moon stabilizes Earth's axial tilt. Without it, climate will be chaotic, seasons inconsistent, weather extreme, life far less stable. Either we are very fortunate, or the universe enjoys symmetry. Both options are unsettling in different ways. In 1970, 2 Soviet scientists reviewed the anomalies and suggested something radical, that the moon might be artificial. They acknowledged it sounded absurd, then published it anyway, which is either intellectual bravery or career suicide, possibly both. Ancient cultures also tell interesting stories. Roman and Greek sources mention people who lived before there was a moon. The culture of Tiwanaku in Bolivia refers to a time before the moon's arrival. Zulu legends describe the moon as hollow. Sumerian myths speak of the Anunnaki, celestial beings said to have shaped our world. Some modern interpretations take that further, suggesting the moon itself was placed or moved deliberately. There is no scientific evidence for that claim, but the mythology isn't the point. What's interesting is the pattern. Across cultures and centuries, humans have repeatedly described the moon as something positioned, something intentional. Science describes the moon as cold and inactive, yet on March 7, 1971, a cloud of water vapor reportedly appeared on the moon's surface for hours. Transient lunar phenomena, flashes, mists, glows, have been documented for centuries. Most likely explanations: gas release, impacts, optical effects. Less likely explanations: active installations, fusion reactors, ancient infrastructure. Choose your comfort level. Photographs exist of unusual shapes, symmetrical formations, tower-like shadows. Some say natural geology. Others say artificial structures. Skepticism is healthy, so is curiosity. Then there's the question no one likes. Why haven't we returned? Sergeant Carl Wolf, an Air Force technician, later claimed he had seen satellite images showing structures on the moon. He believed the public would eventually hear an explanation. According to Wolf, that explanation never came. Photos referenced in early releases are difficult to trace. Apollo 11's press conference showed astronauts who looked subdued, maybe exhaustion, maybe something else. Interpretation is subjective, but the mystery persists. So what can science explain? Formation is still debated, density can be modeled, ringing can be explained by dry geology. Eclipses are not mathematically perfect. The moon is slowly drifting away. Seismic data suggests internal layering, not an empty shell. These explanations are plausible, they are not cinematic. The hollow moon theory is dramatic, it's seductive, it makes for great thumbnails, but plausibility matters. And yet, we still don't know everything about Earth's core, let alone the moon's. Space agencies are selective with imagery and data releases. Maybe the real problem isn't whether the moon is hollow, maybe the problem is that we expected certainty from a universe that has never promised it. We went to the moon 6 times. We brought rocks home, we planted flags, we declared victory, and yet, decades later, we still debate its origin, its structure, its history. That's the reality. We understand pieces, we model the rest, we close gaps with equations or imagination. The moon doesn't owe us clarity. It doesn't need to justify its density, its orbit, or why it ranked longer than expected. It simply exists. And every time we think we've reduced it to something ordinary, it quietly exposes how limited we still are. Not because it's artificial, not because it's engineered, but because we are still guessing. And maybe that's what unsettles us. We want the moon to be simple, explainable, predictable. It has never been any of those things. Until we return, until we measure again, until we replace assumption with verification, the question remains. And unanswered questions have weight. Until then, the moon is not really the moon.